Is Beta Ray Bill good? That's the question that we're seeking to answer in this video. And if you're new here, I'm Alex. Welcome to the channel. Most importantly though, Beta Ray Bill, I think, has the potential to surprise. When I first evaluated Beta Ray Bill just at the end of December, just going into January season, he was a 4.5, and I was really concerned that he was not going to have enough power potential to really make it worth running him. He has since got buffed to a 4.6, and he doubles his power when you play Stormbreaker, right? Which is pretty notable here because, that one power buff equates to a pretty significant buff, going from a 4.5 to a 4.10 to a 4.6 to a 4.12. Very, very big difference. Beta Ray Bill, honestly, I think it's overperformed. I think it's feeling pretty good. In my first kind of impressions experimentation with it, I like it. I played a number of different decks, some that had Lockjaw, some that didn't, but ultimately, he felt pretty good. There were a lot of times where he was a 4.12 and there ain't nothing wrong with that, but there was other times where he was getting way higher than that, 24, 48. He was doing work, and you can get even greedier with a lot of different combinations, but I really do believe in having straightforward play lines in order to give you play patterns that you can reliably play through to get the most out of the card, and obviously to have a deck that's much more consistent. So I want to talk about a couple of things. We're going to be talking about the decks, but right off the top, he is a Series 5 card. He is expensive at 6,000 tokens, but the Spotlight Cash is a little bit of a miss too. If you have Galactus already and you don't have Elsa, Elsa feels like a complete trash tier card right now, although as of recording, we have an OTA coming Thursday with Elsa in the Spotlight Caches. I wonder if she gets buffed. I really don't know as of recording, but it wouldn't surprise me if she did get buffed. As always, I suggest you wait towards the end of the week before spending your tokens or your Spotlight keys to see how the meta evolves. But I will tell you, my first impressions of Beta Ray Bill are pretty positive. I came in at a 2-star originally on the Snapchat, most recently post-buff, I gave him a 3-star. And honestly, I can see him ultimately being a 3 or 4-star card. He's not going to break the meta, he's not a 5-star Alioth or anything like that, he's not going to be doing that, but he's pretty legit for the archetype, but he is a little narrow, okay? With that being said, I want to do something I haven't done in a while. I want to talk about the core Beta Ray package. Now, this is something when people are deck building, they don't often consider, and obviously I do a lot of deck building on my channel, and so I kind of want to just share some of my insight as to how approaching deck building with Beta Ray Bill works. The first thing is you have like the really core component cards, and they're going to be Thor, you're going to have the, he's really big, sorry. You're going to have Thor, you're going to have Beta Ray Bill, you're going to have Jane Foster, and of course you're going to have Odin. These here are like the Asgard package, 3, 4, 5, 6. And also notably the Mjolnir and the what's it called, the Stormbreaker are reproccable by Odin. This 4 is your core package. And then you have the secondary core package, which is the Lockjaw and the Wasp. So most decks that you're gonna start working with Beta Ray are gonna start with these 5 cards. And then you'll start to like add some different stuff along the edges. What's notable here is that you have 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you're starting a deck build, I'm starting to lean towards, okay, how can we have really high impact turns 1s and 2s that allow us to get or take advantage of these 4, 5, 6 plays? What are the alternate win conditions that you can generate when deck building with Beta Ray Bill? And I think that's an important consideration. But this core package here is going to have cards that honestly have been underperforming for some time. Thor is ultimately under kind of utilized. Odin's been good, but obviously niche into unrevealed and where you want to replicate abilities with like White Tigers and stuff like that. Jane Foster actually sees play in a number of different shells, including Mr. Negative. And I don't think Negative works obviously here. And Lockjaw is very popular, but not necessarily in this shell. It's popular in the Thanos-based shells because using the stones to generate value is pretty straightforward. And Wasp, of course, has had its time here and there. But ultimately, this is the core package. And if you have other ideas about what should be in this package, I'd be interested in hearing your comments down below. And then once we start identifying which cards really work well with Beta Ray Bill, we can start seeing how those cards can be built into shells that work well as decks. But let's take a look at some of the decks right off the top that I was experimenting with. Right off the bat, the auto beta Ray Bill deck was absolutely laughable. I saw it, I was like, this doesn't make any sense, and sure enough, it didn't. So don't use the auto deck. It's terrible. And what we went with was a couple different ones. Now I'll go with the kind of traditional big boy Beta Ray Bill style package. Now this here was a Lockjaw style deck. Obviously using Beta Ray Bill, you're using the Thor. You're also using big cards like Magneto, which I think is very valuable in this current meta. In particular right now, because people are experimenting with Thor and with the Beta Ray Bill get impacted negatively by Magneto. So if you're looking to counter Beta Ray Bill and these decks, you're going to want to disrupt with like Rock Slides and Korgs, disrupt the deck. You're also going to want to disrupt their board positions using Magneto, just a quick heads up. So ultimately, I did like this deck. I think it worked pretty well. Okoye followed a little greedy. I think there's a better 2-drop there, but obviously, you know, we're on a limited time crunch in these first impression style videos. I did like the Lockjaw Jubilee combination because you're pretty much hitting nothing but value here. There's a very low chance that you misroll a Jubilee hit, which is kind of nice on turn 4. But generally speaking, you do want to get your Thor Beta Ray into the Jane Foster and have Lockjaw out. You do prioritize Lockjaw over Thor, or you can consider, of course, playing Lockjaw into Wasp and then playing Beta Ray and then playing your Jane Foster to pull both the Stormbreaker and the Wasp out of the hand. Bear in mind that you want to be cycling 1 card as often as you can into the Lockjaw, but also note that you can only per turn cycle 1 card. It was a good deck. It worked well. I think it's a great starting point. This was probably my favorite. I was like, okay, how do we make a deck that has a lot of power potential without also needing Lockjaw? I think the Lockjaw is going to be a type of play that's kind of fun, but it's not always reliable. How can we increase the consistency in the power output of a beta, what's beta? I'm having a hard time saying this, BRB deck, right? This is what I came up with, and honestly, it was probably my favorite list that we tried. I like the Spider-Ham kind of disruption there, but you could also do something like an Iceman if you want. I do think that Korg, Rockslide, and the Darkhawk package is good here for the reason that disrupting, and you're going to get a lot of mirror matches in this first week, and that disrupting the opponent deck when they're lockjawing is going to be really effective because it's going to be pulling lots of rocks. You're going to see it in the highlights. I also think that like something like a Black Widow is bad in this particular case because they can use the Widow's Bite to cycle into Lockjaw for free, so you don't want to do that. And I think that Miss Marvel is actually pretty easy to set up with the Jeff here because you're able to use the Stormbreaker and the Mjolnir, both of which cost 0 to activate Miss Marvel. So what you can do is you can actually play them on the edges if you don't have Odin, or you can play them with Odin, but you'd want to play them in the center, right? That's key. So you'd want to have Miss Marvel in the middle, you'd want to have the 2 Icebreaker Mjolnir, and then you'd have Odin on top. So be very aware of how you position things when you're playing Miss Marvel, especially since you can have 2 0-drops if you happen to play them on curve. But ultimately, I really like this deck. The power output was very high, and I do like the fallback of the Korg Darkhawk package and Zabu Shang-Chi. People were seeing me play this deck, and they're like, oh no, Shang-Chi was taking people by surprise nonstop. So really like the cube rate on this one here. Very high win rate. Was my most successful of the day. This one here, I think, has a lot of potential. I think there might be a broken build out there eventually. I think we're a couple cards off here, but this did feel pretty good. Ultimately, what it was Monkey Ray Bill. The idea of using Hit Monkey in order to generate a lot of value on turn 6. Highly susceptible to Sandman and highly susceptible to Leech, both of which are going to be increasing in meta relevance this week because of Beta Ray Bill and the amount of Lockjaw and burst style plays being generated with Jane Foster. So I do think that this deck has some counterplay, so be very aware of it. But ultimately, I liked it. I liked what we could do. Turn 5, you play the Lady Jane, and then turn 6, you have the Hit Monkey with pretty much everything else. And what's cool is that if you beast and then play the cards down, and then you play something like a Falcon, right? You're picking cards up, you're making a lot of movement. It's hard for them to predict where you are, and then you have all these 0-cost cards in your hand that can then be used to zoo out or kind of burst out with Hit Monkey going to massive power levels. I gotta highlight this. Unbelievable. Even I was shocked I was able to flip a location with Hit Monkey. So much unbelievable power. So ultimately, really like this one too. Much harder to play. Like the other one I just showed you with the Zabu in it was way more straightforward. So easy to play. It was just so natural. This one here had a lot more burst potential. I think it was harder for the opponent to realize like when they could snap, when they should retreat. Like the burst potential was much higher, but much more difficult to play. But if you're looking for a challenge, I think it's definitely worth it. Ultimately, I really do like Beta Ray Bill. I think that he's in a pretty cool spot right now, and I think that he's going to continue to improve as decks kind of get ironed out. I think that he has a limited ceiling, and you're going to see some greedy Wong stuff. I did try that. I didn't like it. I like the much more consistent play pattern. You're going to see people getting him over 100, but Shang-Chi exists for a reason, right? So you just need him to do his job. Get him to 12, get him to 24 if you can. Grandmaster can do that. I'm going to be working on a couple different decks as well. But overall, I like him. What can I say? I do like Beta Ray Bill. I think he has overperformed my expectations, and I can't wait to show you these gameplay highlights, which I think are a lot of fun. And if you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on the action. Hope you guys enjoy these gameplay highlights. Like for these decks to be successful, you really need Lockjaw to actually hit notable targets. And if that's not happening, then you just cry in real life, right? Like there's nothing you can do. That's why there's like the dependency on lockjaw can somewhat be a bit of a negative thing. Like for instance here we just drew into Wasp. That's great. If we draw into a late lockjaw, then Wasp is nice, but right now we gotta play Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill, and if we don't have Lady Jane, then we play our oh my god, okay. We don't need vision, it's not the end of the world. Throw down Beta Ray. I have not seen Baron in a while, my god. When was the last time we saw Baron just casually play? Is that the first time they've ever even played Baron? Look at this. Unupgraded base card. I think I Jubilee. The reason why I lean towards Jubilee is because we can Odin Stormbreaker. Let's see if we can reach mid. We want to hit like a Magneto or something. Yeah, Lockjaw, you SOB. It's not the end of the world. Move Jeff mid. Stormbreaker Odin. That reprocs Okoye. Wasp pulls one of the buff cards.
Hello. So
I respect the Infinite, I do.
are ye worthy?
We actually win by 1 in that Infinite location, which is crazy. This might be a casserole. And then the Magneto for good measure. Oh my gosh, that was a beautiful game. Oh my gosh. GG's. That was a hell of a game.
Victory.
It really does not get much better than that. How do you have so many 1-drops and you not draw any of them? How is that possible? How does that happen? I am in shock. How do you not draw any of your 1-drops? Mind-blowing.
Face the might of Asgard. Mjolnir.
We always play Beta Ray Bill. We're still working on some stuff so far. Beta Ray's been pretty good. I've liked Beta Ray. I've liked him. Beta Ray has overperformed my expectations. Absolutely. Oh, man. How dare you, imagine? I think we pick up Jeff as well. Zorby, man. Hitting Forge isn't bad. I'd snap here, but I don't want them to leave. I think we have a really strong turn 6. This is exactly why we have Hitmonkey in this deck. Could have actually tried to play down some stuff, but no, it's okay. A little short. There's Jane. So to be able to pump the Thor, but we have Beta Ray in that location, and now they've locked themselves in. So they're going to be going up to 23. We go to 20. Falcon, Jeff, Wasp, Spider-Ham, Beta Ray, Monkey. This is a huge turn. Wong? Oh, it's Wong! I was not expecting Wong. Wong's always a wild card here. And the Mjolnir, they're going to lift above. They're going to lift above there. I was not expecting Mjolnir. What do they play mid here? Zabu. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Wait for it. Wow. Wasp difference there? This is crazy. I think we might actually reach with this Hitmonkey. We're short with Beta Ray. I don't think it's enough. We're not going to make it. Oh my gosh, we just made it! Just made it! I can't believe that win! I was trying to do the math in my head. I'm like, it's close, but I'm not convinced. And we did it. I cannot believe that Hitmonkey actually rose that much power to a 15. That's a 315 Hitmonkey. We Spider Ham. Okay, they're clearly playing Beta Ray Bill as well, and they have the Galactus. They literally just pulled the card, because look at that, they got the Galactus thing there. Miniaturize Lab's a bit of a troll for us. Really, Adeline? That's brutal. Well, hopefully they get some rocks. Part of the reason why I built this deck this way, by the way, is it should work well in the mirror match. Because they're going to pull rocks, right? Here's Beta Ray. Big boy Beta Ray. Cool effect. He doesn't say anything, though. He needs like a derp a derp a derp. He needs to say something.
Oh, snap.
We snap into Lady Jane. We don't have Lockjaw, though, but we hit him with 3 rocks. He can also play his Waspin, right? We actually don't have Wasp in this deck, for what it's worth. He actually top decked this. Haven't seen it before. And that's why Shangers is here. Oh, maybe they did play the pig. I just forgot. So they should leave, but they won't. This is pretty clean. This is as straightforward a win as it comes, honestly. I respect the Legion, but I don't know why. Yeah. It's a high quality win. High quality win. And that's why Shangers is in the deck. That's why this deck's designed for this week. When Beta Ray builds out, this is the kind of deck you want to play. Throw some rocks into the mix, a little bit of Darkhawk. I mean, Darkhawk technically doesn't... It has a little bit of counter synergy because they can pull it out with the Jane Foster. But when you're pumping their deck full of rocks, you're able to disrupt their Lockjaw play, which I think is going to be very common at this point, right? Do we Thor on Kamartaj? Is that worth it? Yeah, I think I go Beta Ray left. We still need to draw cards that aren't just these. If we had Lady Jane, it'd be a different story. We could do this. Beta Ray. We'll go Beta Ray here. I'm going to leave the Jeff. We could have moved him, but where the hell am I going to move him? I do have a werewolf-based deck with Hitmonkey. We're going to try soon. We're just trying this big boy Lockjaw version. Draddle, thank you so much for the Prime. We always top deck Jane Foster, and everything is saved. Vision's good. But I'm kind of feeling this Jubilee action here. What's the worst that can happen? Okay. Whoa! Lady Jane! This is pretty spicy. That's pretty good for them too, actually. But I haven't done the math, and I don't need to, but I'm going to win on that side. spin the Mjolnir. Is it worth doing that? Watch this. Oh, I can't if I hit Doc. You have to play Magneto mid because it disrupts so much. So with Fist Tower, you always play Magneto, but I actually don't even think we need it. We do that. The problem with Magneto mid is that we're already going to win this lane. I would snap under most circumstances, but here we're not going to snap because I don't want them to retreat. We're going to Magneto into the Stormbreaker Wasp. Mjolnir on the right. It's a lot of damage. That is a 48 Beta Ray Bill.
To me.
Oh, they played Magneto. Wow.
Victory.
So they had a similar idea there. Magneto's back in town because of Beta Ray Bill, but that was a clean win. I mean, he's 48 power. Obviously, it's a Camartage game, but 48 power is nothing to scoff at.